Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of your UFC Hot Takes. As always, if you want to be in these videos in the future, go to my community tab and find that designated post. Leave a comment underneath that and you will most likely be in the following video. Also, if you want to ensure a spot and make sure your hot take makes it into the video, go over to my Twitter at KYND1E, Kindle with a 1, and you will for sure be in the next video. I put these out every so often, so I'm sure you guys would love to have your hot take be featured in a video. But let's not waste any more time, and let's dive right into your UFC hot takes. Khabib's record isn't something to glorify. Because he's 30-0 doesn't mean he fought good or even decent competition. And I agree, the first 15 to 14 fights in Khabib's career were all scrubs, like all easy competition. I think even some of them were only like 2-round fights. They're arguably even professional MMA fights. They might just be amateur in the new rule set in America or maybe whatever is happening. But Khabib's first 15 fights were really awful competition just set up for him to win. And that really does take away from his 30-0 record. But then again, it is 30-0. 30-0 is a really big achievement to have in the UFC. Like, nobody has a undefeated record that has been a UFC champion ever in UFC history. But when I look at Khabib's record and I really break it down, it was more so favorable for him. He fought a good RDA at the time. He beat Barboza, Conor, Gaethje, and Poirier, all strikers, not really any grapplers. And I think his toughest test was against Gleison Tibau, who was a grappler. And in today's rule set, he arguably would have lost. And this is why I preach that Islam Makhachev is the lightweight GOAT now, because he's fighting, I think, tougher competition. He beat Charles Oliveira. He also beat Volkanovski twice, which I know is a featherweight, but the first time he fought him, which was very controversial, but he won by grappling. The second time, he KO'd him on the feet. We are not seeing Khabib KO the #1 pound-for-pound guy on the feet with a head kick. That shit just didn't happen. But you can't argue against that. Obviously, Volk is a featherweight. Islam has not defended his belt against any lightweights, and he still needs one more defense to, I believe, beat Khabib's record or at least tie it. I think Khabib had 3 defenses, so Islam still needs one more defense to at least tie the lightweight record. But as of right now and how things stand, to me, Islam looks like the more complete fighter than Khabib. He looks way better than Khabib on the feet, obviously. I think overall, Islam is, I think, 1 or 2 wins away from cementing himself as the lightweight GOAT. But Khabib's record, 30-0, is very impressive, don't get me wrong. But is it the most crazy 30-0? Is it against the best competition ever? Not really, but still a good record nonetheless. Sean O'Malley will clear the bantamweight division, and this Max Holloway will beat the champ version of Max Holloway. I'm pretty sure that's what he was saying, but Sean O'Malley can clear the bantamweight division. Do I think he will? Probably yes, but there are some tough matchups. It's not set in stone that Sean O'Malley just runs through Merab Dvalishvili. It's not even set in stone that he beats Corey Sandhagen. Like, those are very tough matchups for him. So I think the fight versus Chito Vera will give us a lot of detail into how Sean O'Malley will fare against these guys. If he goes out there and he smokes Chito Vera in the first round or just oh my God. If Sean O'Malley goes out there and he smokes Chito Vera in the first round or just wins over a decision by just schooling him for 5 rounds, then that kind of tells us where O'Malley is at in terms of how can he beat Merab and how can he beat Corey Sandhagen. But is it a possibility that he can clear bantamweight? For sure. But does he beat Max Holloway at 145? I have to see, man. I have to just wait and see how good Sean O'Malley is against Merab, against Corey Sandhagen, and then I can kind of go from there. But as of right now, I don't know. But going into the second part of this hot take, I think he's saying that Max Holloway, this current Max Holloway, will beat the championship version of Holloway. I think I agree. I think Max Holloway has improved since he lost to Volk 3 times. You could tell that he was trying to get his kicking game more involved against Volk in those rematches. I think overall Max Holloway has, I wouldn't say evolved as a fighter, but I think he definitely has improved his game. Tom Aspinall is overrated and cocky. One incredible knockout, and all of you are dick riding him and picking him over to win over John Jones. Jones has cemented himself as the most dangerous man in hand-to-hand combat in UFC history. Now, here's the thing. We have to look at John Jones now and not what John Jones was 5, 6, 7 years ago. John Jones now looks like a fat old man. He looks slow on the feet. I hate to break it to you. And Tom Aspinall has more than just one incredible knockout on his resume. I think he's finished every single opponent in the UFC by submission and I think knockout. I think the only submission he has is against Andrei Arlovski, but I think every single other fighter that he faced was by KO. And that one incredible knockout was against Sergey Pavlovich, who was starching every single heavyweight on the roster that he faced. I believe he was on a 5-fight first round KO streak. Like, Pavlovich was the absolute truth at heavyweight, and Aspinall went out there and starched him in the first round. Like, that's a crazy KO. And when you watch John Jones versus Cyril Gane, and you watch that first, like, what, minute maybe, it looked like John Jones took a step back in the striking. He looked slow. He was winging overhands. It didn't look like the old John Jones. So we don't really have too much information, but I think you really can't focus on the past of John Jones and rather than the now. You can't think back of light heavyweight John Jones and compare him to heavyweight John Jones because, again, John Jones is like, what, 36 years of age? He's getting older. He's in a weight class that he probably shouldn't be in. He put on fat just to be in this class. I don't know if the past John Jones is in the present John Jones, if you know what I mean. I don't think John Jones is as good as he was back 4 or 5 years ago. So I think it's very reasonable for people to pick Tom Aspinall or to be with him and riding with him to think he can beat John Jones. That to me isn't a overratedness. I think a guy who's KOing everybody and KO'd one of the most dangerous strikers at heavyweight, I think that he deserves to be rated this highly. I am 99% sure Merab is on EPO. He just hasn't popped yet because EPO can easily be flushed out of one's body within 72 hours. I'll probably just put the keyword allegedly here just so I don't get sued. Now, I'm not the most educated on EPO and how it affects the body and how long it's in your system. Obviously, I'm not a doctor here. I have no degree. But if my friend came up to me and told me, hey, this fighter just popped for EPO, my first guess would probably be Merab. Merab has crazy cardio. He beat up Petr Yan pretty badly by just using his cardio and failing takedowns for 5 rounds. Like, if anybody was going to be on EPO that would be the most suspect of it, it would be Merab. But then again, like, maybe he just trained super hard. I don't know, man. Merab is, I guess, I think Merab is the best bantamweight. I really think so. Now, does he beat O'Malley? I don't know, but he can firmly beat O'Malley. Maybe he might just do the same thing to O'Malley that he did to Petr Yan. He might just fail takedowns for 5 rounds, and then O'Malley can't get his hands going, and then it's just him, I guess, outstriking him. But I don't know. Merab, cardio-wise, is probably number 1 in that department. This dude has insane cardio. If anybody was going to pop for EPO, I would guess Merab first. The UFC is over. What are we wasting our time away to watch Rozenstruik versus Gaziev? I could be out with my friends or enjoying life, but I decided to watch robberies, UFC 24, 25, and just list a bunch of fight nights and pay-per-views. But yeah, I think fight nights so far have been pretty not good. I think the UFC is trying to skimp out on the fight nights to put better fights on the pay-per-views because we have UFC 29 coming up. We have UFC 300 coming up. The UFC wants to make sure those cards are stacked. So that might mean that we have to skimp out on the fight nights to make sure those pay-per-views are going to sell and have great fights on them. But right now it's kind of a dead period in terms of fight nights. And I agree, like, these fight nights aren't really exciting to get amped for. Like, I'm not super hyped to watch Rozenstruik versus Gaziev as a main event of a fight night. Like, I truly believe that fight night main events should be reserved for top 5, top 10 guys who have a chance of getting a title shot if they win that fight. And I'm pretty sure Gaziev only has 1 win in the UFC and he's getting a fight night main event. Like, this heavyweight is kind of cooked right now, and fight nights are kind of cooked right now as well. Like, there's nothing we can really do about it, man. Like, we kind of have to just deal with it, and I'm going to watch it regardless. I love fight nights, but is it the most exciting? No. Ilia Topuria will be the featherweight GOAT if he doesn't chase money fights. I think right now Topuria is the best bantamweight right now. I think he beats all the top 5. I think he beats Yair. I think he beats Ortega. I think he beats Evloev. I think he beats Volk again. I think he really is the best featherweight right now, and moving up divisions is always very tough on fighters. Going up a weight class is not an easy thing to do. Fighting Islam at 155 would be very tough for Ilia. No, I think money fights will be good for Topuria, but will he have a legacy that we all can remember him by? Probably not. It's like Conor McGregor, right? Conor fought Jose Aldo, moved up to lightweight, won that belt, but then that was pretty much it. He chased a Floyd Mayweather fight, got that, got his bag, but there was no legacy for him to have in the UFC because he was never really that interested in just defending his belt because he has no defenses. So I do agree with you. Like, Ilia can beat all these top 5 guys and have some real featherweight legacy, but will he still have that if he chases money fights? Probably not. Stipe versus Bagoy Ivanov is the fight to make it heavyweight. You can argue a wall. Yeah, I disagree because I don't think Stipe should fight anybody. I think he should retire. Whitaker recovered really well from that heel kick and would have been finished by Costa if the round was longer. He 100% deserved the fight, and I would like to see him in title contention again. Yeah, obviously he was rocked really bad from that heel kick from Paulo Costa, and yeah, if there was like 20 more seconds left, he might have been finished. Who knows what would have happened, but I think if that round was longer, we would have seen Costa with his hand raised with the first round TKO. But I do like Whitaker, and I agree that he did win that fight. I think he won rounds 2 and 3. I think he outstruck Paulo Costa, landed the better shots. I think he was just overall the better fighter. He just got caught in the first round. Jared Cannonier is the best middleweight on earth. No, because he still lost to Israel Adesanya pretty convincingly. He got outstruck for 5 rounds pretty much. Like, Cannonier, he's good, right? He definitely improved after losing to Israel Adesanya, but is he the best middleweight on earth? I just can't say that just yet. Maybe he might lose to a Chimaev. Probably not. I think I would pick Cannonier to win that, but he might lose to a DDP. He might lose to some guys, you know? But the argument for Cannonier being the best middleweight on earth, I can see that argument. The way he dispatched Vettori was, I think, really impressive. And at this age, I think he's, 38 years of age, maybe 39? Improving at this point in your career is one of the more impressive things I've ever seen from a middleweight. But is he still the best middleweight on earth? I don't think so. I still think he lost to Sean Strickland in their fight that they had. He barely eked out a decision, and I still think he lost that pretty clearly. I think Strickland even beats him again in a rematch if they fought again, but I can definitely see your argument. So that concludes this episode of Your UFC Hot Takes. Thank you guys so much for submitting them. Again, follow me on Twitter if you want to ensure a spot in this, but I'm out of here, guys. Like, subscribe, hit that bell icon for notifications. I'll see y'all later. Peace.